Hi Year 2, it's Miss Manders here. Welcome to your DT lesson this week, and it's the one that you're all really excited for, I'm sure, and that maybe mums and dads might be a little bit nervous about because we're going to be making our superhero puppets, okay? And mums and dads are probably getting a bit nervous now at the amount of mess that may involve, since I know that a lot of you are doing it at home. Okay, so we're going to have a look at different ways that we can do that, but a lot of them are quite simple, and there's at least one idea there that you can definitely do on your own without mums and dads to help, so that it is something that you can do independently without too much fuss. Okay, before we do that, we're going to have a quick recap of what DT is and what it is we should have learned in the last few weeks of our lessons. So, what is DT? Well, DT stands for Design Technology, the D stands for the design part, and the T stands for technology. And in our Design Technology lessons, we design new projects and we use different types of technology to make them. We learn how to research and design a project, but we also learn the skills that we might need to make it. So, for example, we might learn how to cook something in particular, and as part of that process we might learn some chopping skills. For our puppet project we might learn some sewing skills if we're in school, or if you're at home you might be practicing your cutting skills or your drawing skills or your colouring skills. Okay, so we learn lots of different skills in our DT lessons: cooking, sewing, woodwork, and all kinds of other things. Once we have made our project, we always have a really good look at them and we check that they match the design that we had come up with in the beginning. Okay, and we check that it does exactly what it was that we had planned on it doing, if it's something that has a job or a purpose, or we might just be checking that it looks the way that it was supposed to. Either way, we're trying to find out whether or not our project was successful and meets the brief that we came up with at the start when we did our plan. Okay, so that was the first step that we should have done, which was this one here, and that was the first planning section of our DT project, where we should have designed our superhero puppet. Okay, and I know that some of you will have done your design based off a superhero that you might have heard of, like Superman or Iron Man, and I also know that some of you might have been really creative and you might have designed your own superhero and used your imaginations. Either way, we're really excited to see the puppets that you create and to see your ideas made into real puppets. Okay, we're really looking forward to seeing them. Once you had designed the project, you needed to think about the types of materials that you would use to make it. Okay, now everybody will have thought a little bit differently about this because all of you will have different things in your houses. Not everybody's going to have lots and lots of craft things, which is why we've done lots of different ideas as we go through this, of ways that you can make your puppets. If you're in school, what we're going to be doing is learning to sew, and we're going to use scissors, glue and a sewing needle. Okay, so that's the equipment that we have decided that we will need in school. You might have needed to think about the different materials and why they were suitable. So we have chosen felt in school because we said it was strong, and a puppet's going to be played with, so it needs to be able to be strong enough to be played with. Okay, we needed to think about how our materials would be joined together. So in this case, for the ones that we're going to make in school, we're going to stitch the fabric using needles and thread. At home, it might be that you're using a completely different skill. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. If you are going to do something like stitching or cutting, you must make sure a grown-up is with you. Okay, we don't want anybody using scissors, needles or even glue or paint really if there isn't an adult nearby. Okay, and then we needed to think what else we might add to the design of our puppet. So in school we've decided that the buttons might be put on for eyes, and that we might also add on some beads to make it sparkle and make it look really attractive. Okay, so your design idea will be different to ours, but it's yours and it will reflect the project that you make. Last week we all designed our logos for our superhero, So as you can see, mine here is the logo for Stargirl. Stargirl is a real superhero. This is just my version of her logo. And you can tell that I've used a star because her name is Stargirl, and I just thought that that really represented her. Okay, and it's red, white and blue, which are really typical superhero puppets. Lots of superheroes have got those really bright, bold colours. Okay, so you need to think about your logo design and how you're going to incorporate that into your final puppet. So this week we're going to make our puppets, and there are lots of different ways that we can do that. Okay, so here are some of them now. So this one is our stick puppet idea. Okay, and before I go through the things that are on our slide, I want you to have a think about these questions. Okay, so question 1 is, what materials have been used? How have they been made? And what techniques can you spot? Pause the video while you have a think about those things. Okay, well done year 2. So the materials that I can see is there's some wooden spoons that have been used here. Okay, please don't steal your mum and dad's wooden spoons unless you've got permission. Okay, we don't want you getting into trouble, and we don't also want to get into trouble for mums and dads calling us up to say, why has my child stolen my wooden spoon? Okay, please ask. Okay, anything you're going to use in this project, make sure you ask a grown-up first that you can use it. For these ones, these have got ice lolly sticks. So if you eat ice lollies in your house, then you might be able to recycle them by using them to make these puppets. Okay, these stick puppets have been used, been made using card. Okay, as you can see here, there's lots of card and there's paper on these. They've just been coloured in using felt tips, whereas these have been made using coloured paper or card. If we look at our spoon puppets, these ones have got fabric on and they've got googly eyes. Okay, so some of these things you might have in your house, some of them maybe not. Okay, so have a think, have you got these things in your house, and are they things that you're allowed to use? Okay, they've just been stuck together mostly with glue, I think, from what I can see, and there's a little bit of paint on these ones, and there is some felt tip work on these ones here. Okay, our next one, okay, is sock puppets. Now I'm sure that everybody's got socks in their house, but again the same rule applies that we mentioned last time. Please don't use anything unless you've asked your mum and dad. Okay, I really don't want a phone call saying my favourite pair of socks has been ruined because my child made a sock puppet. Okay, make sure you get permission. Okay, I can't say it enough times. So these ones have been made to look like different puppets. We've got this one here who's been made to look like Batman. This one here has been made to look like Wonder Woman. And we've got Iron Man and Spider-Man here. Okay, so again, I'd like to just think what type of techniques might have been used, how have they been made, and what types of materials have been used. Pause the video while you have a think. Well done, year 2. Okay, so for this one here, I can see that they have been painted on. Okay, so we've got a special technique there. Now they might have been painted on using a special type of paint called a fabric paint. Some of you may have that in your house, but it is quite a specialist material, so you may not have it. This one and this one seem to have had their extra little bits made out of fabric and they've been joined on, so they may have been stitched on. I think this one's possibly been stitched on here, and it's got some wool here that's been made into the hair, and this one here looks like it's had a logo perhaps just stuck on. Okay, so there's different ways that you might be able to do this. I'm sure you've all got your socks in your house that you might be able to repurpose. Everybody's usually got a couple of odd socks kicking around the house, so this might be a design that you can make. But you might need a little bit of help from mum and dad if you are going to do this one, because it's a little bit trickier. Okay, but we're really looking forward to see it, to see if anybody has made any sock puppets. Okay, our next idea, this is the one that we're going to make in school. We're going to make something a bit like this, okay, and it's just a mitt puppet, okay, or a hand puppet. We're going to use some fabric, and we are planning to stitch them together, okay, just like this. So this is something that you might be able to do at home. if you've got some fabric that mum and dad don't mind you using, please don't cut up mum and dad's carpet or curtains or clothing, okay? We don't want to hear of stories like that, okay? Make sure if you are going to use fabric, you've got permission to do it. And since it will need cutting, you're going to need mum or dad or a grown-up in the house to help you, okay? And again, because it involves stitching, this is one that you'll need to do with grown-ups to help you, okay? So we're going to do this one. We think it's quite a good design because it's quite sturdy, because it's been sewn together. And there's lots of different ways that we can do it. Okay, so we can put our own logos on it. We can add googly eyes and some frizzy hair, or we might make it a little bit more like one of these ones here. Okay, we might cut out some masks and put on some little bits and bats like that. Okay, so you might have a go at this one at home. This is definitely one you'll need to do with a grown-up, but it is something that's well worth the effort if mums and dads have got time to help you do it. Okay. We've got some quite simple ideas on this one. Okay, so we've got some finger puppets here. So if we have a look at the different finger puppets here, they're all very different. Okay, these ones only involve paper. Okay, whereas this one over here and this one over here involves fabric. Okay, so these ones you could probably make by yourselves. Okay, and I'm sure that you might be able to find some scrap paper in your house to be able to make yourself some little finger puppets. Okay, alternatively, you might want to see if mum and dad want to make some of the finger puppets with you. Okay, now if we look at these, we can see that they have been sewn. Okay, so they've been stitched together, so that is something that you'll need some help with. Okay, because we shouldn't be doing any sewing without mums or dads present. But they're quite effective. Okay, they're not very big, but there's lots of different ways that we can make them. Okay, so we can make them just like this, or we can make them so that they've got a little hole at the top to put your finger through, and then you could draw a little face onto your finger or a little mask like has been done here. Okay, so these are quite a simple design that could be made, and they could be done either independently if we're making the ones out of paper, or if we've got some grown-up support, we could make some of the fabric ones. Okay, and this is our last idea. Okay, so this one I think everybody could probably have a go at, and we can probably do it without too much support from mums and dads as well. Okay, there's not a lot of mess involved. We don't really need to do any cutting. We might need to use our glue stick to add on some little bits and bats, but if we look at this one, there's not really any gluing that's done on this one. Okay, it's just on some of the other ones that has got gluing done. So what you need for this one is you need a toilet roll. You might need some colouring pencils or some felt tip pens or anything like that you've got in the house, and you can really just use your imagination to create either a superhero that is familiar, like one of these. Okay, so we've got somebody's made a Superman one here, or a Spider-Man here, or even a Batman. Or you could go completely wild and you could make up one of your own that looks a bit more like these ones over here in the blue and the yellow. Okay, so these are the easiest ones to make, and I think you could probably all have a go at them without any help from mums and dads. Okay, just make sure you don't use any scissors. Okay, we don't want scissors being used if grown-ups aren't present. Okay, so we're really looking forward to seeing whatever design you make. Okay, so once you've made it, get mums and dads to take a photograph of your puppets and share it with us via Class Dojo. So before you go and get started, let's just have a quick recap. Okay, so some questions for you to think about before you get started. Okay, so when we think about the designs that we've just looked at, which materials were the most common? Why do you think they were chosen? So for example, we said we were going to use felt because we thought that was quite a tough material. So think about whether some of the materials were chosen because they were tough, or perhaps maybe they were just chosen because they were cheap or easily available. Okay. Think about which ways of making the puppets might be best. So for some of you, you're going to be going for ones that are, as sturdy as possible because you think you might be playing with them a lot. However, for others of us, we might be making one that we think is easiest because it's something that we can do by ourselves without adult support. Okay? Think about whether any of the designs needed special materials or equipment, okay, and whether or not you've got those special materials or equipment in your house. Some of you I know will have lots of different things in your houses, but some of you might not, okay? And even if you haven't got lots of materials and lots of craft supplies, you can still have a go at least one of the designs, okay? Think about whether or not any of the things that you've got around your house can be used in your puppet design. Obviously, again, I'm just going to remind you, I know I've said it about 5 times, but please don't use anything you've not got permission to use. Okay, so make sure you ask mums and dads if it's okay to use something in your puppet design. And lastly, think about whether you're going to need help to make the design or whether you're going to be able to do it by yourself. Okay, if you're going to use scissors or needles or thread, you absolutely must have a grown-up. Okay, if you're going to use paint or glue, you're probably going to need an adult with you too. Okay, make sure you discuss your idea with your mums and dads. Okay, tell them what you're going to do, and then they will be able to decide whether that's something that you do by yourself or whether they want to help you with it. Okay, so good luck with your puppet project. We're really excited about seeing them. Okay, it's our favourite design technology project that we do in the whole year in year 2. It's the favourite thing that we do, okay, and we're really upset that we don't get to do it all together in school. Okay, so we can't wait to see the different things that you come up with in your own time at home. Okay, so please share lots of photographs to Class Dojo. Okay, see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.